Welcome to the Awkward Zoo. I'm Randy, and this is Just Listen Podcast. And today we have a chew on this where we're going to be talking about Salt Bay. Not really. We're going to be talking about salt, and this is part of the ongoing series about seasonings. And then in Flip the Script, we're going to be going to the next movie in the Disney animation series, and that is Bambi. But first, updates. Not much to go on updates. Not much is going on, and yeah, since the last time around, there's nothing really new. Been kind of working, kind of planning, um, videos for YouTube. I haven't started making those videos, but I've been planning them. But yeah, so summer, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's coming in the summer. As well as, yeah, I think that's it. So let's head on to chew on this. So today's chew on this, we're going to be talking about salt, the very important seasoning for both savory and sweet. In sweetness, it just elevates the sweetness to another level, and so just a little bit of pinch of salt in your baked goods will just bring it to the next level. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the different types of salt. So basically, you have salt, regular table salt, sodium chloride, and generally that's just mined. It's found in deposits and then it's mined. Yeah, and then there's iodine salt, which comes with iodine, right? And then there's all kinds of different sea salts and different kinds of sea salts. And then you have kosher salt, which isn't kosher, but it's for a process called kosher. That's why it's called kosher, because there's a kosher process is of salts, coarse salt for meat products. There's a koshering process, so that's why it's called kosher. And it's a coarser salt. And then you have different types of sea salts, depending on where it's from, how it's processed. But basically, sea salt comes from sea water, and it's evaporated somehow, some way, or found. As we will get through this list of the different salts that are mined and saying. So you have those regular common salts right there, just regular table salt, regular table salt with iodine, and kosher salt, pretty common. Sea salt is also, you can find, common. And then you get into the specialty salts. So you have fleur de sel, or flower of the sea, which is harvested from tidal pools, and they're characteristically thin and flaky. We have the Himalayan pink salt, which is not to be confused with a different salt we will be talking about next. But yeah, that's mined in the Himalayas, and its distinct pink color comes from minerals in the salt. There's also black salt, which is also mined in the Himalayas. It's also called Kalamanad. I don't know how I was pronouncing that, and it mostly gets that black color from grejite. I don't know how to say that either. And then there is another pink salt, which is used for curing, and that has sodium nitrate in it, and that is to help in preserving when you're curing stuff. So that's why pink curing salts are pink. Um, I don't think it's from the sodium nitrate because that's also white, but I think they color it pink to so you know the difference. But yeah, so curing salt is colored pink, and it has sodium nitrate in some kind of ratio. You can also get sodium nitrate and mix it in with salt, and create your own kind of small mixture. But yeah, the sodium nitrate is just for preservation. It helps keep the bacteria from growing and forming. Yeah. And then there's also what I have here is two types of Hawaiian salt. There is black lava salt, which obviously you can guess comes from around volcanoes. And it also has activated charcoal in it, and that's why it's black. And then you have Hawaiian alii. Alii is clay, and this is also this is from volcanic clay. It's a red salt, and it's high in iron, which kind of gives it its red hue, as well as being found around volcanic clay. Those are just different types of salt that you can find. Yeah, the colors of salt comes from the minerals and other things found in the salt. Yeah, but very common, very useful little dish. There's also pickling salts, and like range from fine salts to coarse salts, flaky salts. Fleur de sel is excellent for a finishing salt because it's kind of thin and flaky. It's large, but because it's thin, and it also kind of dissolves and disappears, and so it's kind of a finishing salt to kind of add that extra little oomph. I don't know. But yeah, so salt, sodium chloride, a very useful well, seasoning to have on hand all the time. Make sure you're using the right one. Yeah. So that's it for Chew on This. Let's go to Flip the Script. So today on Flip the Script, we're talking about Disney's Bambi. Now, Bambi, yeah, there's not much to go on Bambi, as far as flipping the script to go has to say. But let me tell you about the movie. If you haven't seen Bambi before, Bambi is I guess it's like an animated nature film with talking animals, hence the animated nature film. But it's about this fawn, this is deer, Bambi, who grows up in this forest, and you're watching him experience things for the first time. As he grows up, there's a time skip in the middle after something tragic happens. I don't want to spoil anything. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But yeah, it's just this coming of age. I'm watching this deer, otherwise known as the prince or the young prince, grow up in this forest. And what I can glean from it is that he is raised in the beginning of the movie. He is raised by his mom, and then he's raised by his dad. And it's just this thought of being raised and brought up, of having parents and to raise and bring up their children. This is biblical. The Bible says that for parents to raise and bring up their children, and in the Lord, and then also about this concept and this idea of mentorship and discipleship. but just bringing up uh, disciples. I don't know where I was going with that. And bringing up disciples, and so along those lines, because not all of us are parents. I'm not a parent, right? So for me in that case, it's more of this like kind of thought of mentorship, discipleship. If do I have a mentor, and am I discipling somebody as well? And into following Christ and following the Lord. And so, obviously, this is towards believers, to Christians. If you're a parent, to bring up your children in Christ and to teach them and admonish them. And then, as for believers, especially if you're not, especially if you're single, not married, no children, and to be discipled and to disciple others, and leading them and pointing them to Christ. So here's some verses. Here's about parents. This is found in Deuteronomy 4:9-10. Only be careful and watch yourselves closely so that you do not forget the things your eyes have seen, or let them fade from your heart as long as you live. Teach them to your children and to their children after them. Remember the day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, when he said to me, assemble the people before me to hear my words, so that they may learn to revere me as long as they live in the land, and may teach them to their children. Proverbs 22:6. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. Ephesians 6:1-4. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth. Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instructions of the Lord. So those are all verses about parenting, and as parents, to bring up your children and teaching them and training them, and bringing them up into the Lord and leading them to the Lord. But likewise, as fellow believers, we are to go and make disciples, and part of discipleship is to be a mentor, to be a discipler, and also to be mentored, because we don't know everything. We're going to have questions, we're going to have things that we don't know or don't know how to do, and we only have certain gifts, right? We can only go so far. All right, and so you also need help, right? I have a mentor and a couple others, and others who I can go to for questions, who I can go to and talk to and do life with, and as well as I hope I have with a few people who are kind of training and bringing up as well, and I hope, yeah. And so it's just like, and so it's just encouragement for you that you cannot do this alone. As a Christian, as a fellow believer, you cannot do this alone. You need people to help you, to guide you, and you need to also, well, if you're especially in leadership or in service, to also bring up people to basically take your place if needed, right? You can't do everything, right? And so it's important to also train people and bring up people to also be leaders and servants as well. That's very important, and as well. And yeah, so that's what I learned from Bambi. And is this kind of thought of discipleship, this thought of kind of mentoring, right? He's raised by his parents, and he's taught everything that he knows from them. And likewise, it's for parents and for me, they need to kind of raise up the next generation, the future church here on earth. Obviously, the church is timeless, but to raise up the next generation and, and to continue to build the kingdom. And yeah, so let's wrap things up. So we talked about salt, different types of salt, where it comes from, and yeah, what salts do you commonly use? Is there any new salts that you're going to use? Let me know. As well as in Bambi, what did you think? Have you seen Bambi? Can you see this kind of thought and kind of similar thinking about mentoring, mentorship, and discipleship? If let me know down in the comments below. And wow, this is pretty short. But as always, love y'all. Appreciate you. Thank you for sticking around for so long. Yeah, and I believe the next episode is going to be about sugar, the different types of sugar, where sugar comes from. We're not going to be talking about sweeteners. There's like low calorie sweeteners, replacement to sugar, because I believe that's a completely different video. Yeah, so that's going to be a separate video or separate podcast segment on its own. That's not going to be in this series. It's probably going to be right after the series. Yeah, and then you have, and flip the script, I believe the next movie is Cinderella. So until next time, I hope you have a jelly day. Bye.